Hey guys, it's Enigma Toya. Today, I'm seeing if Fortnite can run with only an i5 processor in Chapter 2, Season 5. Let's go see what I found out. So, the following specs that you're going to need to know for this test are that my laptop had an i5 7200U running at 2.5 GHz, 12 GB of RAM, terabyte of hard drive. There's no graphics card other than the built-in one with the processor, and the laptop has been in use for 3+ years. So the hard drive part isn't super important, but I think it may have played a slight role in my findings, being that an SSD can technically transfer that information faster. At least any normal SSD could beat this SSD in this laptop. So also note was that I'm not recording, or I wasn't for these tests, as to maximize the performance. It's also the reason why you're not seeing any Fortnite footage during this video, but enjoy this clone drone in the danger zone footage instead. So for the test, I launched Fortnite, as you would do. Then I went into the task manager, set the priority for the main Fortnite program to high, as to get just a bit more performance. I then went into settings and lowered everything to the most minimal Fortnite can go. I had the 3D resolution at 35%, I had the view distance set to near, performance mode activated, and mesh quality set to low. I then hopped in a round of solos. Early game, my FPS stayed at a solid 60 frames per second. I would get stutters every once in a while, but they were rarely an annoyance. As the run continued, however, I began to notice the FPS lowered to a range around 40 to 50 during the middle of the match. The stutters remained minimal and rarely impacted the gameplay. Then around endgame, the FPS began to rapidly fluctuate between 30 and 50. These stutters began to get more common and grew in length. By the very end game, the FPS was still rapidly fluctuating, but now it had dropped to a range between 20 and 50. The stutters were now very common and heavily impacted the gameplay experience at this point. For those of you wondering, through my tests I got a 3rd place, so that's how far I went in the match. Based on these experiences, I would deem that Battle Royale and Fortnite is just not playable on these specs, at least not in the combat sense. So if you're just trying to do challenges to finish the battle pass or something like that, or just meme, you'll probably be fine. But if you're actually trying to do combat, it's going to be nearly impossible and just going to be really annoying and unsatisfying. So next I tested creative mode. I first hopped into a standard free-for-all round, and I found that the FPS stayed at 60 most of the time. However, there was definitely stutters akin to those in the mid-game in the Battle Royale. Thus, I would conclude that the combat and creative was a pretty mediocre experience. Combat games are definitely not the only types of creative games, however, so I decided to give a non-combat game a try and see how it fared. So I booted up a 200 level death run and began running through it. The FPS actually stayed at 60 even when I turned up the 3D resolution to 50%. I could have turned it up more. Fortnite Save the World is also something some viewers might own and be wondering about, so I decided to test it out. Performance mode doesn't actually allow you to play Save the World with it, so I switched over to DirectX 11. I dropped all the settings to their lowest state and launched a mission. My FPS was actually very good, and I found that the stutters were incredibly rare and undisruptive. I was able to actually turn up the 3D resolution a bit, and my FPS continued to stay above 60. Overall, I found that in combat type modes, whether Battle Royale or creative, they were fairly clunky and unenjoyable. However, I found that Save the World and non-combat oriented creative maps were definitely playable. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make more videos like this one, and if so, with what games. If you want to help me reach my goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2021, that would mean a lot to me. Anyways, Enigma signing off.